Perfect.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So how many of you, let me just stop share. How many of you are minority business owners? Or how many of you are you? Okay, great. And how many of you are experiencing difficulties getting to corporate clients, you think because you're either a small business or because you're owned by a minority? Could I see a show of hands? Yeah,
Small business.
yeah, yeah. It's tougher, that's for sure. It is definitely tougher. Okay. So then I'm going to go back to sharing. Sorry, you guys can't see my screen anymore, right?
No.
Oh boy. There's just too much happening, so the computer is frozen. Okay. So while I'm waiting for the computer to respond, it's just doing too many things, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, it's doing too many things, so it's like locked up. I have to go see a genius. So, what I wanted to ask of you guys is, what has been your experience? What was the last time that you tried to pitch a corporation? And especially if you can, share, like turn on your camera and share it. What was the biggest issue that you had? And some of you shared this in the DMs, but what was the biggest issue? Is anyone willing to share? What's the biggest
I
problem?
am.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeanette.
Okay. Hi, Chella. How are you?
Hey, it's nice to.
So Chella, I have a very large TV show podcast, right?
Mhm,
And it's like over 9.2 million combined global audience, women 40 plus.
mhm.
And I want sponsors. And I am constantly sending out emails and DMs to get not every kind of sponsor, a niched lifestyle brand sponsor.
Mhm.
And I'm it's very hard. And I find that I send about 30 to 40 either DMs or emails a week. I
Mhm.
do hours of research on this type of stuff every day, like just to have enough to send out. I have to research the company, who's the marketing director, who's the owner. I have to learn something nice to say about the company. So I have to go through all their stuff, and then don't mention a package and just get them to try and connect with me. And even that is so bloody hard. And you would think, why is it that hard? Right? Why should it be so hard? It's not like, most people want publicity and exposure and that sort of thing. And it's a big audience and it's target niched and the market is correct, like the 40 plus and everything. And these are not the biggest brands. They're not national brands. They're niched lifestyle brands. And I still get cold turkey, right? Like I get maybe half writing me back, but then to get them on a phone call so we could talk about the offer, that's another story.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Who's next? Who wants to share?
Um, I, I would say I had a partial success with my last corporate person I talked to. Looks like I was probably a little late. They had just signed a contract for all their promotional goods, but they did put me in their system as somebody out of box that they could deal with. The person was nice. It was probably the most positive interaction with the corporate I've had in a little bit. But again, I guess that's not bad. It's just I'm in the system, but obviously in the future I'd want to get the contract with the corporate to be the authoritative contractor for the promotional goods. But that did not happen. But I I kept a positive attitude about it, and I just picked that apart and learned from it. I think I was just probably a little bit late.
Yeah. So, is the bigger problem getting in to the meeting or getting their attention or actually closing the sale?
Um, this would have been a matter of closing, but at the same time, I was late. So, um, uh, talking, it's been several. It's the first bite I had in a while. So frequency is probably the thing I'm looking at. Um, getting interest, more interest in the people who make those decisions, those companies.
That's great. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Who's next? Who wants to share about what is the biggest difficulty that they're having getting into corporate? Yeah.
We have, I don't think we'd qualify as a small business. We're fairly large and have had 25 years in business this year. So a lot of tremendous success in some very large companies. There has been in the last sort of 2 years, definitely a change in the buying process. Often our proposals and our sell have been to the operations leaders. So it's all about a service delivery plan and making sure that we can meet their needs. Now our challenge is that the final decision is being made by a corporate buyer, someone who is the money person, who changing the messaging to understand we're in the staffing business. So if you can reduce turnover, find the people, improve productivity, you are saving the company money. But we can't get in front of the final person who's the decision maker. And so we have to find a way to get our messaging that's going in front of that final decision maker, who is a financial buyer, buying on the numbers solely almost, to get that messaging in front of them. So that's one of our key issues that we're looking. We feel like we have we've had professional messaging companies. We've got good messaging. It is getting in front of the final decision makers right now because it's changed in a lot of our customers.
That's wonderful. Okay, so these are some real, you're hearing real world challenges right here. Who else would like to chime in? What is the biggest difficulty getting in to corporations? Anybody?
Well, I can speak to my recent experience with the LCBO, big giant corporation that's got a lot of issues lately. But I finally got one of the C-level people to forward my information to an HR leader. And it became pretty apparent. She was kind enough to reply back to me, but she set up a bunch of red flags already. We have two companies that we're contracted out to for coaching. That includes team coaching. But she threw me a bone and said, occasionally, yes, we do bring in other vendors. So I put together an overview. I know that I could have done a better job on that in retrospect. But I get the impression that they just rather deal with larger companies that are, multi-staff rather than the solopreneurs.
Yeah.
So that's the story I'm telling myself.
So I'm going to go through all of this. So this is great. Is there anybody else who wants to share before I give you why I'm qualified to sit here and talk about this? So, in fact,
Can I just add something,
Sure.
Shala?
Uh-huh.
So I recently learned that sometimes, and I'm sure you're going to comment on this, but sometimes, what we think these corporations want aren't actually what they want. And that we need to put more effort into discovering what it is they actually do want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? So today I'm going to give you the basics of how to get into corporations and how to position. Tomorrow is the business class. Same time, what we're going to talk about is the actual meeting. Once you got into the meeting, what do you do and say in that meeting during that pitch presentation? So today we're going to talk about what do you have to say in your messaging? What do you have to do before you can get into that room to get that meeting? Does that make sense? Okay. So my name is Shala Dinkoy. I am the founder and CEO of the Repositioning Expert. For 18 years, I have been pitched during my work at corporations. So I worked for Pepsi, Pizza Hut, Frito-Lay, And all that time, I was a buyer of services, and these were very sexy brands, and people constantly pitched me, and nobody could ever get in. And most of the reason was because of all the things that you guys are saying. First of all, we had someone that was already vetted through multiple channels and multiple years that was already doing what you guys are all doing. And you know that 86% of buyers can't tell the difference between two suppliers who kind of do the same thing. So, and the other thing is buyers don't like to take risks. And the higher the responsibility and the bigger the brand, the less likely the buyer will be to take a risk on a newcomer, a small company, someone they've never heard of. It's risky for them. And they researched and they asked all these buyers, the corporate buyers, and they said, how likely are you to hire someone that you want to hire, but that you don't really know much about? And 50% said, I will let go of someone even though I want to hire them. And the number one reason was because they're afraid for their job. They're afraid of losing their job. They're afraid of losing face. So the whole idea is, what do you have to do to get in? Okay. And so for the past, I've had my business for 12 years. I've been teaching people on the other side, who are us, the smaller companies, to how to get into the bigger companies. And what I'm going to teach you is something called super niching. And this super niching is what I did to get into these large corporations. And now they're my sponsors that help me train their minority vendors to help get them to a certain level of being able to pitch to large corporations. Because large corporations are very nervous to have small vendors. You know why? Because if you become their sole big breadwinner and they pull their contract, then you're going to go bankrupt. And they don't want a model that's not sustainable, because they don't want to have a supplier base that is shaky, that only depends on them for business. So here's how I'm going to model what you need to do to get in. So the first part, and in fact, you guys, I'm winging this whole thing. Now, there's a good thing is that I have done this presentation about 100 times on 100 different stages over the past 12 years. So I know it cold, but because my screen is completely frozen, all I can see is the people who have turned on their camera. And hopefully, like, people, my team on the background are admitting people. But I don't even, it's so good. Jody's, yeah, nodding. Okay, so I am gonna go. And Jody, can everybody see the URL for the workbook? Okay, good. So I'm going to go off the workbook because I have nothing else. But the good part is, most of the good stuff is all my stories, my, experience. And at the end, we're going to actually go ahead and do a round of everybody who wants to volunteer. And I'm going to give away a polish, what we call an elevator pitch polish, which is, we're going to take a guess at what positioning will get you in the room. And I'm going to do that with people who want to volunteer. Normally I charge for this, but for this session, I just want to demo. And then at the end, I'm going to give you a link where you can connect with me if you think you want to work with someone like me. So the first part is finding your most profitable target. So there's 4 pillars to building the perfect pitch, right? For the for corporate buyers. The first is finding your most profitable target. And I have actually a picture of a cannon and a shotgun. So the two differences is, one of them shoots a lot of different holes, and the other one is makes one big impact hole. So which do you think your business is? Are you targeting multiple industries, multiple different types of companies? Or are you all niched into one type of industry, one type of client, one type of service? So that's what I want you to ask yourself. Like, that's the first thing that I have my clients do when I work with them, is find your most profitable target. And I want my clients to be targeting by industry or interest group if they are B2C. Industry, because, and there's only one reason for that. It's because human beings self-gather in large numbers by two ways. One is by industry and the other one is by interest group. So if you want to find a yoga lover, you can go to all their events. If you want to find a foodie, you can go to all their events. That's the interest group. Now, for the industry, if you're targeting IT, if you're targeting healthcare, if you're targeting retail, you have exactly where they're going to be. There's a list of them in every city in the world. And they're doing the heavy lifting of inviting all these people into one event, one or multiple events throughout the year. Why should you not leverage that? That's why I'm very, very, very insistent on finding your most profitable target. Okay. The next is pick your sweet spot specialty. If you don't have a specialty, meaning if you don't have a pain point that you specialize in, a problem that you specialize in helping, nobody can understand really why you're different. And I'm going to show you how to go even further and go deeper into this specialty, because what I want from your elevator pitch and for your initial pitch is to hook them. And you can only hook corporate buyers by going really, really, really deep into one of their pain points. And that's the only way that you can do it. And that's the only way that I'm going to show you. Unless you know someone on the inside, unless there's other things going on. But this is like coming in cold. Just like what Jeanette was saying, I'm just sending out all this information. I'm doing all this outreach. It's not working. Well, here's how to make it work is that you put a hook into it. And we're going to talk more about that. Now, the next thing I'm going to share with you is I've actually put together an elevator pitch formula that I'm going to give you at the end of this exercise so that we go in and we're going to do each of your elevator pitches. I'm going to ask for your permission to polish it. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll do that. So that's the formula. And the fourth pillar of building your elevator pitch is how do you actually use your pitch to land the meetings? Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. All right. I'm just going to try. Yeah, no, it's locked. It's locked in.
I'm sorry. Can you please repeat numbers 3 and 4?
Sure. The 3 is the elevator pitch formula. And number 4 is using this pitch, your elevator pitch, to actually land meetings with corporate buyers. Okay. So the most differentiated elevator pitch is super niche. Now, what is a super niche? Niche is a word that comes from ecology. It's somewhere that in nature has been carved out of a bigger piece of rock or formation. It's this little tiny crevice that has been carved out. So for business, that means that if you do HR and the problem that you solve is retention, the super niche of that problem would be retention of Gen Xers. So it is going down really deep into just one facet of the pain. So think of the pain of your clients, of your target industry as a diamond. And I want you to think of just one aspect of that pain point that you could actually solve. That's called super niching. That's going to differentiate you. That's going to give you a hook. Okay. So the most differentiated elevator pitch is super niched. Now, section 2 on page 1 is finding your super niche. Is you find your super niche by picking, number 1, a very specific target. So remember what we talked about. If you have one target versus multiple targets, who are you going to be able to shoot at with most impact, with one target or multiple? I want for my clients to start picking one industry or one interest group to begin with. Now, I've worked with multiple companies where we've had 6 or 7 different industry targets, but they had a team of 13 people doing it. If you're like me, you're a single person, owner operator, then I really, really suggest that you start with just one. Okay. Now, so you pick a very specific target, meaning you pick one industry or one interest group if you do B2C. Number 2, section 2, number 2, page 1 is you pick a very specific pain point to specialize in. Okay. I want you to, now people are always like, Chala, like, why are you so negative? Well, I'm not negative. I have nothing against, pleasure, But the pain is because statistically, 70% of human beings decide to buy something because they have a problem, because they have to solve something. Okay. And that's just, and we're going to talk about that later in the messaging, but that's just human nature. It's not me. I didn't make it up. That's the way people think. That's the way people buy. And I've read that it has something to do with avoiding danger, because in our DNA, we're supposed to scan all of our, environment constantly for danger. And when you own a business, or when you're in charge of a business, just like the corporate buyers that we're selling to, if you're already talking about something they're afraid of, or you're highlighting something that they should be afraid of, they're going to listen to you because it's in their DNA. They can't help it. And then when they're in that pain, they're going to buy from you. No pain, no sale is something that I always talk about. Okay. So why do you pick a specific target and a pain point? Well, here's why. This provides, number one, a focus to aim your pitch at. We're going to be coming up with your pitches. If you haven't already, I'm going to be polishing your pitches. If it doesn't have a specific focus, I can't help you. If you're saying I help every industry, if you're saying I help everybody, the whole world, it is the hardest way to market, and it's why you're not getting meetings. It's because you're too generic. It's the number one problem that small businesses have when they're pitching. They are not super niched. They are saying the same thing as everybody else. Okay. So because they don't have a focus, meaning they don't have that target. Number two, finding your super niche provides a relevance for your prospect. So the relevance comes from their pain. If you have a very specific industry, they have a very specific problem. Every industry has a different problem that they're struggling with. If you don't know what that is, you can't pitch to them. You will not earn your place in their rooms. You will not be in their boardrooms. They will not be inviting you because you'll be so far out to lunch, not knowing exactly what they're struggling with or what they're behind closed doors talking amongst themselves, trying to solve, and spending money and time and sleepless nights. And if you don't come in and talk their game and their language, and they don't recognize you as one of their players that get it, the insiders that get it, you're not going to be able to earn not a meeting, not any, recognition, respect, or relevance. That's number two, the relevance of your prospect to your prospect. Number three, what having a niche, a very specific target and pain point provides is a differentiator in your industry. So remember what I said, that 86% of buyers can't see the difference between two suppliers who do the same thing. And I see this all the time. When I go to procurement conferences, eyes glaze over. In fact, there are certain industries like staffing and marketing and IT that they have, like the corporations have now actually literally put notes and published in the guides for the actual procurement conferences that they're not willing to talk to any of those industries because they're not differentiated enough. It's come to that. It's come to such a huge glut of those industries. And I'm not targeting anyone. I think this exists for all industries, that there's just no differentiation. But when you have a niche, all of a sudden people are interested. Let me listen to what you have to say. Okay. I'm going on to page number 2. Section 3 is the scoring. So we score all industries and interest groups in 3 ways on a scale of 1 to 10. So 1 is fit for you. Okay. Now, what do I mean by fit for you? I had a client who was vegan, and one of her biggest clients was Maple Leaf Meats. So she was a vegan, but the biggest client was a meat company. And we were doing the work to figure out, is this a good fit for you in terms of multiplying this kind of account? And the fit for her was 0. She had 0 interest in working with meat companies, and I can understand why. Another example I'm going to give you is I had a client who did downsizing for seniors, and she wanted to target millionaires. but she didn't know one single millionaire. I mean, now everyone's a millionaire in certain cities because that's how much, your house costs. But we're talking multimillionaires. She wanted like the high net worth, but she didn't have the money to go to their events, to go belong to their golf clubs, to join any of the, elite circles. And she didn't know anyone. So the fit for her was zero. Okay. So number two is the ability to pay your fees. So this is one of the biggest issues. Can that industry, are they willing to pay for you, someone like you, to solve that problem at the level that you want? I'll give you an example. For example, I had a client who, her mother died a very horrible death, and she decided to become a grief coach. And then she could not get people to pay her $400 an hour to grief coach. After bartering and starving for years, we met up, and then we did the research. And what it turned out is people will not pay that because one, they get free services through the hospice, and two, through their church. So because she hadn't done the work to figure this out, her score was zero. People are not, the ability to pay for their fees is zero. For her, fees was zero in that niche. And the third one is the access to decision makers. Do you have, and this is, we talked about this before, like, for example, one of my clients wanted to target physicians. Well, physicians are really hard to get to. They don't network a lot. They're always busy. They're not, picking up the phone. So she had to really look at what her access was to physicians and how she could get access. So I want you to look at, who do you know in what industry? Who do you have a real background with? Who your networks are with? Or if you have no networks in any of these, then do they have public meetings where you're allowed to join, where you're allowed to go as a guest? Another really difficult group is lawyers, you guys. Lawyers, unless you're a lawyer, you can't go to their networking most of the time. So that's another hard group to reach. So I want you to look at the industry that you picked, and I want you to look at, is this a good fit for you? Do these people have the ability to pay? And then do I have a lot of people in my networks, or can I reach a lot of decision makers? Okay. So those are the three section 3 scoring criteria. Okay. Is there any questions? Because I can't see any questions. So Jody, just let me know if there's any questions. Are there any questions till now? Okay. We're good. All right, so section 4 is, what is an industry? I get this question a lot. For me, an industry has to have a governing body. So it has to be an organization or an association. They usually have events. So it must have a governing body. The second is it has to have events. You have to be able to meet these people somehow. If they don't have events, how are you going to meet them? Number 3 is they need to have LinkedIn groups. If it's a big enough industry, if it's viable, they will have groups. Number 4 is publications. They usually have online, offline, something, some newsletters, some podcasts, something. And then number 5 is chapters. Like I'm a bit against my clients targeting, industries that have like once a year big thing, and they don't even, and it's once and it's national. But I want you to be able to go as many times networking, speaking, and whatever else you can do as possible. And that's really more possible with associations and organizations that have chapter meetings, that have speakers, that have trade shows, they have annual meetings. It's just, think of this as like they have orgies and orgies of that same group of people that allow you to meet with them throughout the year, over and over again, preferably in different cities if you're targeting like what I do, which is national and international, even better. Okay, so the homework is, I'm not going to do the homework right now, but you can do this, is I want you to list a whole bunch of industry names where you see homework, what industry scores the highest for you. I want you to go down and write down every industry or interest group if you're doing B2C. So write down hospitality, you know, write down IT, write down whoever, government, whoever you're targeting. And then I want you to score on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest score of the fit for you. Remember the vegan with the meat companies, that industry was a 0. But if you're like an accountant and you come from the healthcare world and you're targeting healthcare, that's a really good fit. And you know, you have a passion for that, that's a good fit. So that's a 10. Dollar potential. This one is like a bit of a guess and your gut to see like if you've seen that they've paid that kind of money for that kind of service. So you're kind of using your gut right now to do a back of the envelope scoring. But what we're going to do is we're going to take those scores and we're going to go out into the real world and we're going to ask actual human beings with a pulse who are in those industries, whether we are dreaming in Technicolor or whether it's true or not. Okay, so number 3 is please rate your access to the decision maker. So in the cases of the lawyers, where my client was not a lawyer, so her access to decision makers was like 1 out of 10 because she had like 1 lawyer friend. But if you're like a CA, CPA, you know, you used to do that for a living and you worked in the healthcare industry and that's who you're targeting, and they have monthly meetings every month in every city, well, your access is 10 out of 10. Okay, so I want you to actually add up the scores and then the total score out of 30, because they're all out of 10, and then look at each industry side by side, you know, one next to the other, and then look at which one has the highest score. And that's the one I want you to focus on and go and do actual finding out more about them. Okay, so then we're going on to page 3, part 2. All right, so section 1 is pick your sweet spot specialty. The recaps already till now is that the most captivating elevator pitches are, of course, super niched. And I want you to score, remember from the last exercise, and I want you to put your score of the highest industry. My highest scoring industry or interest group was whichever one. And for our exercise at the end, and I'm trying to leave a lot of room for our polishing the elevator pitches, I want you to use that industry. I'm not going to ask for your score, but I want you to take that industry and I want you to keep that in mind for the one that we're going to use for your elevator pitch formula. Okay. Next, after the key recaps, your specialty needs to be about one facet of your target prospect's pain. Remember the diamond. I don't want you to say you specialize in the diamond, the whole thing, the whole problem. And I love to give, you know, retention is the big buzzword, like, you know, so the example is, no, it's retention of through something else, retention through difficult conversations, or retention because of one of my clients, her niche, her super niches, she helps companies with retention due to the lack of help for elder care of the adult children that are working. And it's a $1.3 billion problem that adult children who are working in offices are burnt out, they miss work, and they actually become sick themselves from elder care burnout. And she helps them with that very specific super niche of that one facet. And remember, 70% of humans purchase based on pain and only 30% buy based on improving something. So why would you use your marketing and your messaging to talk to them about something that only influences them 30% of the time? I want you to think about everything you've been saying all this time about when people ask you, what is it that you do for a living? I want you to think about all the emails, the outbound stuff that you're sending out. I want you to think of, if you do trade shows, what sign that you're putting. Like, I want you to think of, is it pain-based or not? If it's not pain-based, it's not doing its job. It's not doing the heavy lifting for you. And the most dangerous way to figure out your target prospect's pain is to guess it. I've been doing daily videos to ramp up for this masterclass, and I had to chuckle because like the screen is frozen. So this is, but you guys are still here, so I'm just like laughing to myself. And then we had the fire testing. It's just hilarious. But I'm loving this. This is how I used to do this in during COVID. where I didn't use any slides. And in fact, we had much better engagement. I just can't see anything except for myself. So other than that, we're good. I can see a few of you, but other than that, we're good. So, okay, let me go back to the most dangerous way to figure out your target prospect's pain is to guess it. That is the number one way that most small businesses are working. After I left corporate, where we used to do research after research at Pepsi to figure out the strategy, I was like, oh my God, how are these companies figuring out who their target is? Well, they're either falling into it because, you know, somebody tells them, or they come from that industry, or they look around and they decide that they're gonna niche into that, or they're guessing at it. And I call it the spaghetti against the wall, that to see what sticks. And it's causing a lot of time loss. It's causing a lot of money lost to try to see what advertising is going to work, what industry is going to work, what message is going to work. It's just losing you a lot of time. Okay. Section 2, page 3, 3 ways to find your target's pain. 1, ask them. That is the number one way I work with clients, is that I make them go out and ask them. So I want to know, what is your pain? Number 2 is Google it. Sometimes industries will have research specific to that industry, or there will be articles about that industry pain. And then the third is ask that industry's customers and suppliers, and they will know. So I want you to be so close to that industry that you target, that you live and breathe in their world. You are stepping in their shoes, so they recognize you as one of their own. That is the biggest differentiator. They recognize you from your language, from your presence, from your messaging. Everything points to this woman or this company or this man understands, gets us better than any other supplier we have ever met with. And we'd like to work with them. That's what I want. Okay, so at the bottom of page 3, there's a homework. And this is I want you to reach out to one decision maker. Now, if you're working with me, I make you reach out to 15, and that can take between 2 to 4 weeks, but I make you do 15 for 3 different niches. But for this, I'm going to go easy on you guys. After this, training, before tomorrow, I want you to reach out to one decision maker who I call a check signer, right? And that, you know, in your target industry, the one that you picked in the last exercise, and verify the most expensive of the 3 pain points you came up with. And so for now, I want you to think about, okay, what is the 3 most expensive issues that this group has, this industry has, or this, if it's B2C, this interest group has. These people have. So I want you to, now if it's B2C, sometimes the pain is emotional, you guys. But if it's B2B, it is always money, always money. So figure out which is the thing that costs them. Like, it's just bleeding money. But I don't want you to educate them into the pain. They have to already know that this is a pain. It's well known, and they're bleeding out dollars every minute. And you're just coming to the rescue. So if you have to educate them into a pain, I'm not interested in that. I want you to guess at the 3 different pain points, and I want you to go out and ask them, say, Joe from healthcare, is number 1, number 2, or number 3 the biggest pain point for you? Okay, I want you to do that. For the purposes of the exercise at the end of this training, where I'm going to polish your pitches, I want you to pick a pain point that you think is the most expensive one. So for the exercise, you need 2 things. I need you to pick a very specific industry that you want to double your business in. And for the second part, I want you to pick a very painful, costly problem that they're having that you can help them with. Okay. Now, and I'm going fast, but I hope you're keeping up. Page number 4, I'm on to part 3. Okay. So section 1 is the super niche review. The key recaps are: my elevator pitch should be about a problem or a pain point, right? My super niche should be about an industry's most expensive pain that I can solve. Because I don't care if you can't solve it, like, that's too bad, right? Like, we need something you can solve. And then the key takeaway is, I pledge to never guess at my target's pain and to market research instead. And honestly, some clients would rather stick, their fingers in their eyes instead of doing that. But there's just nothing that will give us that. And actually, it's also a really good training in Outreach 101. Okay. Section number 2, part 3, page 4 is the elevator pitch formula. Ooh, we're getting close. We're getting close to getting your elevator pitches polished. Okay. So who you help, this is the formula, who you help plus the problem that you solve. So remember the pain that we talked about, the one facet of the pain, plus how you help. Okay. So it's who, problem, and help. And then to enhance the effectiveness, add a pain statistic. So 2 out of 3 have this problem. And the result of working with you. And I actually have my example here is that 3 out of 4 business owners, WBEs or MBEs, which are minority businesses, never ever get asked for their information or for a meeting. They never get invited to a meeting when they do their elevator pitch. Did you know that, you guys? And what I do, and this is true, and what I do is I change what they're saying at that table where there's a round table or at the matchmaking or at, networking. I change what's coming out of their mouth so that every hello turns into a actual meeting. And my clients have done this at roundtables. So if you haven't been to one of these roundtables, there's the buyer from, let's say, Target or a big corporation, and then there's 10 vendors sitting around the table and they each have 2 minutes to pitch. And I have had clients, after we fixed their elevator pitch, actually walk out with appointments where not only did the buyer grab their card, but say, I'm going to put you into my calendar. What time are you available to meet? I've had a client actually walk away with 2 non-compete agreements. They were asked to sign a non-compete agreement because the company wanted so bad. And these are huge. I mean, we're talking huge companies like Google, and, and Pepsi, all of them. So it's very important what you say, what's coming out of your mouth. Okay. So your homework. Okay, you guys ready? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do this. I want you to craft your elevator pitch with the formula. And the formula is who you help, plus the problem that you solve, plus how you help. Okay. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes and then I will take some people. I will take whoever wants to polish their pitch. So it's 2:45. We'll wait for 2 minutes. And then I'll keep trying to see what I can do. But I'm just nervous to press anything because I'm just going to lose you guys. So it's not worth it. I can't see how many people are here, who's here. I mean, it's funny. I better fix this before tomorrow.
Do we just go?
Well, I'll let you know. So it's, you have 1 more minute and then I'm going to ask for your hand and we'll take one by one. I can't see everyone. So, Jody, if you can tell me who's next, like who wants to go. So just either put your hand up like this or put it up virtually. Okay.
Okay, so Christine would be first.
Okay. All right, Christine, I'm ready for you.
Hi, Chala.
Hi.
So my pitch. I work with mid-market technology companies that are struggling to get mission-critical strategic initiatives off the ground. I help them realize their strategic results faster and more easily than expected. I do this by getting leadership teams laser focused on strategic outcomes, and then I take the reins and lead these initiatives to a successful outcome.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, my hat's off to you for being the first. You're very, brave. The first one's always the hardest, right? Okay. Do I have your permission to polish?
Please.
Okay. So, can you give me the actual industry? You said mid-market technical.
Mid-market technology companies, so software companies.
Okay, so we'll say software. And what is the number one problem? You said faster leadership, faster results.
So they're struggling to get, I work with them on their mission critical strategic initiatives. So that it could be launching a new product or business unit, implementing enterprise software, or transforming from software to a SaaS operation.
Okay, so give me the most common one that runs into a horrible, expensive problem of all of that.
I think the most costly is they're challenged in transforming from a software licensing based operating business into a SaaS operation.
Okay, so I love that. Do you see how specific that is? Like that is so specific. Okay, tell me what is the thing that goes wrong?
What is
that you help with?
They aren't realistic about their outcomes. They think they can do it instantaneously.
So it's the licensing to SaaS is delayed, or what's the actual problem?
Yes, it takes longer than expected. They don't understand how they have to shift the organization, and it's much more expensive to do that. The value is they go from the reason that they're trying to do this is they're trying to go from a 5x valuation on their revenue to a 10x valuation on their revenue.
And what is the result of like 500% or 100% reduced valuation? What is the result?
I mean, the problem is that their shareholder value is impacted. They've got unhappy shareholders.
Okay, and what's the impact of that?
Their investors will likely replace leadership teams. There's going to be an impact to the business. Their share price will go down. Let's just simplify it. The share price will go down.
Right, but I want even more. Like I want even like share price goes down, and so what? Like then did you know that? So here's what I was going with this. So I'm just gonna make a stat, but you can either ask people or you can look it up. So did you know that 70% of leadership teams for tech companies who are going from licensing to SaaS are restructured due to ineffective
leadership,
due to delayed processes?
Transformation.
Due to a delay in the transformation, due to a delay in the transition, yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah.
And then you go, what I do is we do leadership, blah, 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 training, blah, 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 to enable it to close at 5x the valuation, or twice the amount, 100% of the valuation.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No way.
So it's very different than what you started with, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you get how like deep, you go deep, granular, pick it out. That's your hook, but you hook them where it hurts the most. So that's how you get in the room. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jody. Who's next?
Marina.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Marina Johnson, CEO of Moz Programming.
Hi.
Thank you. Our clients reach out to us because their data scattered across multiple cloud platforms. They like real-time visual metrics and trend analysis. They struggle to make quick data-driven decisions. If you need help with unique analytical projects, Moz Programming is for you. We're a technology company specializing in data-driven custom software development and data analytics. Our solution typically saves clients 30 to 35% and transform organizational data into most valuable strategic asset. For US Travel Association, Washington, D.C., we visualize the impact of tourism spending on the state economies. For Denver Smart City, we transform traffic data into visual indicators, improving traffic flow and safety. Many of you...
Marina, I'm going to stop you. Okay, so it has to be in that format that I gave you, right? So could you put it into that format? So what is the industry that you're targeting? Okay. Then what is the one most expensive problem? Because you gave me, like, I wrote 3 or 4 problems.
Yes.
Right? So what is the one industry? So remember the formula?
Yeah, and I'm struggling with industry because we can apply our data to, I mean, data is everywhere, data. And you talk about IT people, and IT really industry agnostic. And that's what I'm struggling with because, you know, we work with restaurant, we work with tourism, we work with municipalities.
So if you could close your eyes and double, like if you go like this and double your business in one industry, which one would you pick?
Oh God.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you just own that industry, which one would you pick?
The restaurants, I guess.
Okay, all right, okay. And what is the #1 problem you solve for them?
So we aggregate data from different cloud sources and analyze them in one place because a lot of people have cloud applications that all over the place and they specialize, let's say, in HR or on the scheduling or something else. And we put the different and
give me a problem.
People need to aggregate and analyze data from different sources in one place.
That's a problem?
It is a problem.
What's the problem? What's the problem for restaurants? How are they losing money?
Well, we're working with very big restaurant organization. They have like I give you example. They have Great Plains. They have Open Tables. They have Ziosk. They have.
What the problem is that all of these systems don't talk to each other.
Yes.
And then what would that cause? Are they losing, you know, hours? Are they not charging the right?
They're losing hours. They, you know, their information is not accurate when it's done manually. We automate the process and aggregate the data and visualize data in the end. It's kind of whole process that we're going through.
But if I'm at a restaurant, if I own a restaurant, what is it? What problem are you solving? Is it that am I undercharging for the food? Am I losing customers? Am I losing employees because of this lack of data cohesion?
You cannot, you don't know what's going on with your company and how much money you spend on which aspect of your business. And you can report the board of directors accurately.
So your spending, this is what's tracking your spending, right?
Yes, I think so, yeah. Accurate data.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry, if you can mute if you're not on. So Marina, what I'd like to suggest is here's something that I would have to talk to you for a lot more. And I'm going to actually give you guys a link where you can talk to me one-on-one if you want to work together. But what I would say is, did you know that 60% or 80% of restaurants are losing money to, they're losing money to vendors because they can't track their spending. So you have to find like, where are they losing the money? Because the data isn't aggregated properly. But what we do is we solve that problem by allowing all the different data networks to talk to each other and reducing the loss of their expenses by blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? Like I need you to put it down to just one specific problem. So, and I know you solve many, but that's the trick, is to figure out which is the most expensive one that people have top of mind that they would be willing to solve.
I like how you're drilling through. You really drill to the root.
Drill.
Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, it's my pleasure. Okay. So, Jody, if you can write down my link for my scheduler. So what I'd like to offer everyone is, I'm not going to be polishing pitches on this call, but I'm offering everyone a complimentary call at repositioner.com/schedule. So you go on there, and what we're going to talk about is, what is the vision for your company? What is like your target in terms of your revenue? And I'm going to ask you some drilling questions about why you're not getting there. And then I'm going to make a plan with you on how to get you to that revenue. And I'm going to share with you how I'm going to help you do that. And then if you think I can help you, then you can ask me how much it is, what it looks like, how I work, and so on. Okay. So repositioner.com/schedule. Now I want to talk, we're 1 minute to go. Tomorrow we're going to be talking, and hopefully we're going to actually have slides, but if we don't worry, I'll still be able to help. What we're going to talk about tomorrow is, there's a 5-step questioning sales process that I'm going to give you. That is a script that has been proven to land huge clients, multi-million-dollar clients, dream clients. And I'm also going to tell you what you need to do in the room once you're in the room. Okay. And please reach out to me. I do apologize. I still think, I mean, I actually kind of enjoyed not having slides. I don't know. I might do tomorrow without slides, actually. So yeah, let me know if there's any more information you need. And you can reach us at the 1,000 emails that we've sent, or repositioner.com/schedule. Schedule a call with me starting now. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow.
Where's the link? Where's the link?
Oh, the link to schedule a call
In
together.
the chat.
It's in the chat. It's
I don't see it.
repositioner.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Should be
Thank
the
you.
last. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, Chella.
Thank you.
Thank you.